Growing up in Hawaii, Robert Kiyosaki observed a strange paradox. He was raised by two father figures, whose polar opposite approaches to money led to radically different life outcomes. His biological father, the poor dad, was a brilliant academic. He held multiple degrees from institutions like Northwestern and Stanford. Yet despite a high-ranking government position, he spent his entire life struggling to pay basic bills. His best friend's father, the rich dad, dropped out of school in the 8th grade. He skipped the traditional university path entirely, but through business and investment, he became one of the wealthiest individuals in the state. These two men held contradictory convictions. Poor dad believed the love of money was the root of all evil. Rich dad believed the lack of money was the root of all evil. This divergence even appeared in their daily vocabulary. When faced with a high price tag, poor dad would state, "I can't afford it." Rich dad forbade that phrase, claiming it made the brain go lazy. Instead, he forced himself to ask, "How can I afford it?" Rich dad viewed the brain as a computer that grows sharper through constant exercise. By changing his vocabulary, he turned every financial obstacle into a mental workout, proving that wealth is a product of psychological habits rather than academic pedigree. Most people live within a cycle driven by fear and greed. They wake up, work, get paid, and spend that money on bills. Kiyosaki calls this loop the rat race. Mechanically, this ensures the worker enriches everyone else. Their labor profits the employer, taxes pay the government, and debt feeds the banks. At 9 years old, Kiyosaki saw the reality of physical labor when he went to work for his rich dad on a Hawaiian plantation. He spent his Saturdays dusting cans in a hot convenience store for a meager 10 cents an hour. After a few weeks, the low pay left him feeling exploited. But rich dad used that anger to teach a vital lesson. The wealthy do not trade their time for a wage. They find ways to make money work for them. Real-world financial education often requires experiencing this economic friction firsthand. A classroom lecture can't replicate the visceral realization that a paycheck alone rarely leads to freedom. Building wealth requires a clear understanding of a single mechanical distinction, the difference between an asset and a liability. The middle class often falls into a trap by purchasing liabilities, like large primary homes or new cars, under the impression that they are assets. On a cash flow statement, a liability is defined by its direction. It is anything that pulls money out of your pocket over time. If it costs you money every month to maintain, it is a liability. Conversely, an asset puts money into your pocket. Stocks, bonds, or rental properties generate income regardless of your physical presence at a job. Financial independence is rarely achieved by increasing a salary. It comes from the disciplined choice to build the asset column while keeping the liability column as small as possible. As children, Kiyosaki and his friend Mike took the challenge of making money literally. They collected discarded lead toothpaste tubes, melted them down, and used plaster molds to forge their own nickel coins. While their operation was technically illegal, Rich Dad praised their creativity. He explained that the wealthy invent money by identifying and assembling opportunities that others are often too fearful or blind to see. This skill is part of a broader framework, prioritizing financial literacy to keep what you earn, focusing on your own investment portfolio, and working to acquire new skills rather than just chasing a higher wage. There is also a structural advantage in how the wealthy handle taxes. An employee earns, gets taxed, and then spends. A corporation earns, spends on its business expenses, and is only taxed on the remaining profit. Wealthy individuals utilize legal and corporate structures designed specifically to protect their capital from erosion, allowing them to reinvest more of their earnings. Kiyosaki measures wealth in time rather than paycheck size. Specifically, he asks, how many days could you survive if you stopped working today, relying only on your assets? Escaping the rat race starts by acknowledging the internal triggers of fear and greed, the fear of missing a bill, and the desire for luxuries that you haven't yet earned the right to buy. To counter these impulses, Kiyosaki advocates for the habit of paying yourself first. This means directing a portion of every dollar earned into the asset column before paying any outside bills or creditors. This discipline facilitates a shift away from heavily taxed earned income toward passive and portfolio income, where your money does the heavy lifting. This creates a compounding feedback loop. Income generated by your assets bypasses the expense box and is routed directly back into the purchase of additional assets, causing the column to grow larger with every cycle. Ultimately, every individual faces a choice. They can seek the perceived safety of a steady paycheck, or they can develop the financial intelligence required to build their own empire.